West Ham. He's back in lots of ways, Tim, because it felt as though his time at Real Madrid, he just fell out of love with the game. You saw a little bit of it when he played for Wales, the kind of old personality that we saw in those old Tottenham clips. Is he going to get that back, as well as Spurs getting the talent that he has?
I think by coming back to the Premier League, this tells you he is. You know, he's not going for a holiday. He's come and put himself under pressure. You know, he's coming back to a place where he's loved. And rightly or wrongly, the fans are going to expect him to be the Gareth Bale what left 7 years ago. Now, if he's going to replicate that, I doubt. If he could be half the player he is, then Tottenham have got a very good signing on their hands. I think Daniel Levy's done brilliantly to bring him back. It's not cheap. It's a free transfer, but his wages are very, very high, or what they're paying from Real Madrid. So, look, if he is anything like he was, him, Son, and Harry Kane, fantastic front three. You know, there's a lot of pressure on Tottenham now. Everyone expects it. You know, there's a few people coming out and saying possibly could be challenging for the league title. I think they are, in my opinion, can they finish in the top four? I would say yes. I think they've got such a good squad of players now. They've got a manager who seems to have a game plan which suits the likes of the counter-attacking players, of Son, of Kane, of Gareth Bale. They've got a very stodgy midfield, very tough, strong. Look to have a nice blend. So hopefully, I mean, I'm not sure he plays this weekend. I think he's fit to play, but I think Jose might let him have a look from the bench and introduce him off the bench, because West Ham are going well as well. Yeah, they are going well at the moment. I think you're the second former Tottenham manager to say that Spurs could be mounting a title challenge, if not necessarily winning the Premier League this season. And you've been saying it for a little while. It feels as though there's something bubbling under the surface. Now they can add a little bit of stardust to it.
Yeah, and because what's happened with Mourinho, he's come in and he gets to that stage where you think, oh, he's upsetting everyone. And all of a sudden, bam, it changes. The players get it. They start, and then we see a performance like the Man United. Yeah. I think with Gareth Bale, I think that him watching how Cristiano Ronaldo kind of managed his game, latter stages of Cristiano Ronaldo's time at Real Madrid, is something that he's probably going to do here at Spurs. I don't expect him to be running all over the place. I expect him to be in that last third of the field, and we'll see the explosivity and all that sort of stuff. We'll see the great goal, might see some free kicks, but I think he's going to manage his game for that end of the pitch.
And as much as everybody talks about the fact that his game sort of dropped off towards the end at Real Madrid, how much of that is actually true? How much of his game has dropped off in that time?
I think it's hard to say, because last season, if you look at it, for example, so when he was playing, it was hard because I think he needs momentum. He's the kind of player with his pace and everything that if he hasn't played for 6 weeks, it would be very hard over an hour to do something special. So I think the more he will play, the sharper he will be and the better he will be on the pitch. And it was quite difficult the last 2 seasons to judge his level because of that lack of consistency in how often he was playing. But I agree with Tim. I think he's an incredible talent. It's a great story as well. I can only see positives out of it, really.
Yeah, it could only be positive for Tottenham and for Jose Mourinho. Tim mentioned him and said, they've got a manager there who's got a system that gets the best out of the players that they have, that allows those kind of counter-attacking players to get forward at the right moment. Did we write off Jose a little bit, and were we a bit early in that?
No, I don't think so. No, because he kind of rubs you up in a way where it's almost like he wants you to do that, and then he comes back with something like this. Then all of a sudden you start thinking, wow, can you really write Tottenham out of like the top four? And if Liverpool, Man City, and everybody are going to be as inconsistent as they've started up to this point, then you're looking at somebody who knows how to navigate this league. With the players he's got, you're talking about somebody who can pick up the pieces, man, and run with the ball. So, it's going to be interesting, because I've been saying it for a while. Spurs, there's something happening. It kind of makes me uncomfortable. I've got the washing machine stomach, because once they signed him and he was there, that's probably lifted the whole club. And I think that it's no coincidence. Yes, Man United were terrible, but you have to give Tottenham credit for totally dismantling them. And I think that Gareth Bale being in and around it has added to that factor. Yeah. It really, really has.
And yet, do you think that some of their more important signings have been the less glamorous ones? You talked about that sort of tough midfield. Yeah. And the fact that it might be a bit...
Højbjerg's been very good. Number 6, I think he's an upgrade on what they had. I think he can break the game up. He also get turned on his back foot and pass the ball forward. Reguilón, very, very highly rated, played in La Liga, up and down. I think he'd be a very good signing. But they've signed players who know the league, didn't they? So apart from Reguilón there, they know Gareth Bale, he hasn't got to know about anything about the Premier League. Doherty, right wing back or right back, was fantastic at Wolves, and for £13.4 million is absolutely no money. What Jose's got the best knack, there's an ingredient you need to be a very successful manager, and that's persuading the owners to spend money. And Jose does that better than any person I've ever met, even Daniel Levy. He persuades them to spend the money because he convinces them that the squad isn't good enough. And he's managed to do that perfectly at Tottenham because now he's got a stronger group.
Was he right, though? Was the squad good enough?
Good enough for what? I mean, it's what their objectives are. He would say, obviously told Daniel, which the objectives for Daniel Levy would be finishing in the top four. So he obviously said, with this group of players, we're not going to, if you let me have Bale, Højbjerg, Doherty, Reguilón, the players who he's brought in to have Joe Hart as a reserve goalkeeper, then I'll get you to the top four. And he's convinced him. And he said, OK. And at the moment, you'd have to say he's on track to do that. Jose Mourinho won't always play the best players in the squad. What he'll do is he'll pick the best team and he wants reliable, responsible players. And then at the top end of the field, he wants flair. And he builds a really stodgy, I'm not criticising by saying stodgy, it's a pragmatic approach. Responsible, fill gaps, no space, defend better. He's not sure about his defensive partnership. Eric Dyer looks to be a mainstay, whether it's Toby Alderweireld, whether it's Sanchez. He's not sure about that at the moment. I think he's still learning about that. He's got Hugo Lloris, who's one of the best goalies in the league. But up front is where it's all happening. And he expects the nice solid base to give them the freedom to go and win the game.
Let's take a look then at what we think he might be looking at, or what Spurs' best 11 might look like if everyone were fit and available. And you've already described it, that kind of solid base,
yeah,
and that talent at the front of the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, Lo Celso for me was one of the most improved before the end of last season. He was one of the most improved players they had at the club. He really was coming to his own. I'm not sure he would play in there. He's the question mark. I think they might go for someone a little bit more reliable, responsible, defensive, if want of a better word. But the rest, only Davinson Sanchez, I would suggest, might be a question mark over him. I think Doherty or Serge Aurier, he's got options there now. Lamela, who played in the last game, he might play. I think instead of Bale will come up for this game and watch from the sideline, possibly. Lamela's improved as well. I mean, they're buying into Jose at the moment. Why are they buying into him? They're buying into him because they're winning football matches. If you win football matches, like we talked about with Guardiola and Mikel Arteta, it helps, and the players listen.
Where are we with Dele Alli at the moment?
Nowhere really. I mean, it's such a shame because the talent is there. You know him really well. I mean, there's no doubt. However, he also has to understand that you need the right attitudes when you're not playing games, at training, when you're in your house, when you're with your friends or your family, everything. Well, a bit less now with the restriction, but you see what I mean? You have to be a pro all the time, 24/7, 100%, 1,000%, anything you want. And it's just not relying on your talent is not enough anymore. And I think Lo Celso is probably a bit less talented than Dele Alli, so is Lamela, but they have the work rate and the hard work that Dele Alli hasn't had for the last 18 months. And I think at some point, that's the difference.
Is it the difference for Dele Alli, the fact that he's maybe not committed at every level of his preparation and of the game?
No, I think he is. I don't know him as a boy. I know him what I've seen as a player. I know he's a very good player. He's not turned into a bad player overnight. And maybe Jose, I mean, he's got it wrong before. I mean, De Bruyne, Mo Salah, if I'm Dele Alli, I'm rolling my sleeves up and saying, look, if he's not going to be here, I'll go somewhere else and I'll be a superstar and I'll prove you wrong. Again, like you've been proved wrong a few times before. But for Jose, he doesn't care about Dele Alli. I mean, why should he? All he cares about is winning football matches. And he wondered about the team, not the individual. That's what good managers do.
Dele Alli's still got a role there, do you think? Like from a football perspective?
Without a doubt, a player of his ability. You don't know what's going on. Like I say, with Jose, he does go in and there's always seems to be a casualty of war with him. So in this particular moment, it's Dele Alli, but you always find with Jose that there does seem to be a way back if you want it. So I'm hoping that Dele wants it because I do know Dele, and I know that he misses playing. and why wouldn't you? You know, you want to be back at the top. He had a lot of success very early, and so I think he wants to get back to that. But like, it looks like he's going to have to put some serious work in to get back on the right side of Mourinho for some reason.
What kind of work? In what sense?
Well, the manager needs to see whatever he may not be seeing on the training ground. I think I heard and read something the other day saying about he doesn't, lazy trainer, he doesn't.
Yeah, I've seen the documentary.
Yeah,
the Amazon documentary.
Yeah.
He tells him face to face.
And I remember watching Delhi from a young boy, 17 he was when I was at MK Dons with him, and he always trained in that way. I like to think that I'm the same. I trained. I wouldn't say I was like every day I was like, but like I seemed to just be able to put it on a Saturday because I was ready to go. I made sure I concentrated on hitting the target in training, but I wouldn't say I was one of those trainers that was like, right, that's it like that. Maybe he's one of those.
Yeah.
And Jose needs to see that, but he needs to do something to get himself the right side of Jose, because like I say, I think something's happening at Tottenham. And if that's the case, then they're going to need players of his caliber to be amongst it as well.
But then they're going to need to be happy. They're going to need to be ready. Then when he calls about them to come in and do the job. I mean, you're talking about, we've all played with training ground players who are fantastic throughout the week and they can't play on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. Some of them are very lazy trainers. And when the crowd's there, we're not at the moment, unfortunately, but when they go onto that crowd, you know you're going to get a performance. But normally the managers can recognise that when they've played.
Yeah.
Jose never played. He never played that level, so he does it. And really, it's not Jose's fault. It's Dele's fault, because if that's the only way he's going to get into the team, he needs to train 100% as a way. Play as you train as you play.
Can you do that? Can you change how you train if you've always been quite relaxed in training? Can you become
more effort? You just you can. Well, the thing about it is if you've got a manager and the coaching staff that lets you get away with getting through it, but they know, yeah, he'll be all right on a Saturday. You get a manager like Jose comes in and says, "No, I want more than that," and then it's up to you to say, "Well, I just have to raise the intensity up." You have to do that. That's what training's for.
George Graham, George Graham, you had Wrighty all the time. George used to say himself, he trained very sloppily, but he knew when he crossed that line on the weekend, he'd be one of the top players. Yeah. And he knew because he'd been in the environment, he smells the situation.
Yeah.
And Tanguy and Ndombele had loads of issues with Jose Mourinho, a very stormy relationship. Yeah. And then there's a point where they had a chat, and now he played really well at Old Trafford against United, scored the first goal, and now he's back in the team. We could have put him
instead of Sissoko
or Sissoko even, because he has that very unique profile as well. But it didn't work before because he was not having the right attitude and not putting the effort in on training. And since he's changed that, it's much better now between him and Mourinho.
But as you said, it's going to be difficult against West Ham at the weekend. Where's their start to the season come from?
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Mikel Antonio's absolutely on fire, isn't he? Declan Rice in the number 6 area, just patrolling in there. Jared Bowen. They've got good players now, you know, the good players who know what is expected of them. They work hard out of position. They're well organised. They move forwards as a team together. There's no divides. There's no splits between. The distance now between the back players and the front players is far better. You know, the distances. Whereas before they were always stretched and they were open to the counter-attack. I think they'd be difficult to beat. I think Moisey and his coaching staff have got something going there.
You know, we didn't see this in the opening 2 games of the season.
No, this
is just